Heading into the golf course maintenance shed, we're going to meet our new golf course superintendent. His name is Matt Clem. As we approach, you may notice that the maintenance barn looks a little bit different than the clubhouse. How'd you like to have this for your yard? There's a whole fleet of mowers. Good advertisement for John Deere. Taking another one for a ride. Hi, so here we are at the maintenance shed, and today we're going to talk with Matt Clem. And Matt is the new golf course superintendent. And in fact, you're so new you just started this month, right?
I just started yesterday.
Okay, and we're December 2020, so masks on for a while. When we separate, then we'll be better off. We'll see what his face looks like. So what's it feel like growing up with two first names, Matt Clem?
Well, I've heard that before, and I never realized it until I watched why people would say that until I watched the old westerns, and there was a sheriff named Clem. So it's, you know, I never thought of it before, so it's just my name, I guess.
Yeah.
But I like having two names. It's, you know, I go by Clem sometimes. In the Coast Guard, of course, I went by Clem, and so a lot of people thought that was my first name for a long time.
Well, like a lot of people, you've got stages in your life, and I know the Coast Guard's a big part of that too, and we're going to learn more when we go inside. So let's go inside, and on the way in, show me, I noticed some kind of a chalkboard that looks like it. You can explain it to us.
So this is our height of cut board, and this will tell us at a glance what our greens mowers are set at, what our tee and collars and approaches are set at, what our fairways and our rough are set at. This is 1/8 of an inch. 1.125 is 1/8 of an inch. And so that's what we're mowing our greens at right now. The verticutter is set to just kind of tickle the grass at -0.50. And the fairways and the tees are set at just above a 1/2 inch at 0.600.
Yeah, and the fairways, you maybe wouldn't know it because you're so new here, but the fairways seem longer than they used to be.
Yeah, Mark.
Who decides what the length is going to be?
I will. I'll decide what the length is going to be. And so I know a lot of clubs try and mow really tight at like 0.500 here. Well, that's a little tight for a lot of people. They would rather have a little bit of fluff to their fairways. So we've started mowing at 0.600 in the fairways and the tees, so your ball sits up just a little bit more. It's not quite such a tight line.
Anything else you're doing different since you came?
I am not mowing the perimeter of the green with the triplex anymore. We've set up a walk mower at 120, and so we're going to be walk mowing our perimeters from now on to eliminate a lot of the stress that triplex can put on the perimeter of the green.
Who does the beautiful artwork? That's one of the better flags I've seen.
I inherited that, so I'm not sure who did that.
Okay. All right, let's see your office.
All right.
No personal things on the wall yet.
Not yet, but I've got some stuff to hang up here. A couple Coast Guard plaques. These are my boats that I was on while I was in the Coast Guard. This is a barge. This was in Iowa, and I was on this boat in Maine, Rockland, Maine.
And this is the Iowa boat?
Yes, sir. That's a little tugboat that we were strapped to a big barge, and we'd pick the buoys up with the crane. And this is a buoy pin right here.
And out of what, Dubuque, Iowa?
Dubuque, Iowa. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so Matt's sitting at his desk now. I don't suppose you get to spend a whole lot of time at your desk in your job as a golf course superintendent, do you?
No, as much as I want to, I guess I should say. I'm not a desk person. I'd rather be out on the golf course. So I'll spend as much time as I have to here, but not a second longer.
How did you first get interested in golf?
I tried to get my dad to take me to play golf, and he'd only played a few times himself, and he equated the experience to he would rather shut his hand in a car door than play golf because he'd have more fun. So he never took me. So I went with my best friend and his dad and started playing on a daily basis. And before I knew it, I was picking up the range balls and filling up the gas carts with gas at the end of the night. So my routine became my mom would drop me off in the morning before she went to work, about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'd play all day. And then about 7 o'clock at night, I'd start hitting the balls to the middle of the driving range, and then I'd go pick them up before 9 o'clock, and my mom would come pick me up about 9 o'clock. And that's the way I got into golf.
So you had a part-time job at your municipal golf course?
Yeah, when I was 13.
How did you get the job?
They offered me the job because I was there all the time.
Okay.
And so there was only one, really there was two people that worked there, and it was a family unit. It was a man and his wife, and he was the superintendent of the municipal course. Really, he worked for the town, but they lived on the property in a trailer house, and he saw I was there every day, and I was a very polite child, and so he asked me if I wanted to do that for him, and I was making $3 an hour, and that was a lot of money from a 12-year-old back then.
Were you on the high school golf team?
I was, yeah. Once I got into high school, I tried out for the golf team, and I was nervous I wouldn't make it, but ended up being the #1 player all 4 years that I was playing for them, and went to state all 4 years. And really liked the whole high school golf team thing, but once I got out, there was no more free golf.
Aha.
So I kind of quit playing golf for a while I went into the Coast Guard. And before I got out of the Coast Guard, I went back home and I saw my golf coach, my high school golf coach at church, and he said, "You know, you should be a golf course superintendent." And I was in the Coast Guard at this point, about a year before I got out. And
how many years were you in?
4.5.
Yeah.
So
was that kind of predetermined, or
I had not planned on staying in. No.
Okay.
Especially, as I'm going through Coast Guard, my time in the Coast Guard, I still didn't really have a plan for what I wanted to do. But then that fateful meeting with my golf coach at church that day, he said, "You should be a golf course superintendent." And I thought back to my time working on a golf course, and I thought, I've never been as happy as I was when I was working on a golf course. And so I looked into the schools, and I was stationed in Rockland, Maine at that point. And there was a school in Lake City, and there's one in Pinehurst. And I knew that there was a lot of golf courses around Pinehurst, so I figured I'd have a better chance of getting a job when I got out. And so we moved to Pinehurst and from Maine, and that's where I went to school. And I worked at a resort course there for most of my time, and I did my internship at a private 36-hole club. And
how long is the schooling for something like that?
It was 2.5 years.
Okay.
It was an accelerated program. Where you took very focused programs for turf grass. Our math classes were how many bricks does it take to pave this patio or walkway type problems. It wasn't abstract, no real world use to it. It was very hands-on, and we had to work at a golf course while you went to school, and you would get credit hours for that. And so right out of school, I was an assistant at the at Talamore Golf Resort there in Pinehurst, and I did that for about 6 years, and then we decided to move to Florida.
And why?
Because we found ourselves using all of our vacation time, my wife and I, to go to Oklahoma, where I'm from, to go to Maine, where she's from, and then her parents lived here half the year. So we would go to Oklahoma, to Maine, to Florida in all of our vacation times. And we had never taken a vacation on our own, except to go see family.
Sounds like you met your wife in Maine.
I did. We met on a small, like a 3-hour harbor cruise. And there was my family and her family, and those were the only two families on this harbor cruise. And
You didn't know each other before?
we did not know each other before.
Okay.
And so, you know, when you take a 3-hour cruise and there's only 6 people on the boat, you start talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we exchanged numbers, and we've been married 19 years.
How long between the meeting to the marriage?
7 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quick.
It was quick. It was, you know, looking back on it, you think, wow, that's quick. But at the time, it just seemed like it was right.
Sounds like a Hallmark movie to me. Love it first sight.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting to meet him, and there he was.
It wasn't. It was just very, random. Very random.
So it's off to Florida.
So it's off to Florida, and I can't tell you how much I'm loving Florida. I love Florida. So I never thought I would live in Florida, but now that I'm here, I would not move out of Florida.
What year did you come?
2010.
Uh-huh.
So that January, we moved January 4th of 2010, and that month of January, it was 30 degrees like the whole month. And so everybody kept saying, it's not usually this cold and wet. And I kept thinking, I don't think we moved far enough south. So
It can happen. You know,
Yeah.
St. Augustine and anything in the Panhandle is cold.
yeah, I know. And so, but we were down here at that point. It was just a really odd winter that winter. And but we haven't had another one like that since, and I've loved it ever since. But
That's
there's
great.
a lot to do, a lot of golf to play. I have access to a boat, and if I can find time, I go out on the boat.
Mm-hmm. Is your wife a golfer?
No, she is. She actually can play pretty good, but she just can't take the time. She won't take the time. If she can't see spending 4 hours playing a game,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a veterinarian, and so she was an occupational therapist for 10 years, and didn't really like any avenue. She tried teaching. She tried practicing with children. She tried practicing with older adults. She tried teaching other like occupational therapy assistants at Kaiser, and she was director of the whole entire units. She didn't like any avenue of it. So she decided she wanted to be a veterinarian, and it involved going back to school for another 4 years.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm not one to hold anybody back from what they want to do. And so I said, all right, go. And so we actually lived apart for about 2.5 years while she went to St. Kitts and got her doctor of veterinary license. And
She
now
happier with that?
she is. She's much happier with that. She came back in 2019, and she's practicing at Angel Animal Hospital on Bonita. They're just south of Bonita Beach Road on 41.
Mm-hmm.
And she loves it. She just wishes she knew everything. You know, she's that type of person. So she's all the time at home studying still.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's going to school. So she's going to be really good at what she does.
So since coming to Florida, is this your third golf course for you?
Well, I worked at the municipal course growing up, and then I worked at the state course, and that's where I got my mowing experience and cutting cups and everything. And then I went to Talamore, and then I've been at Forest Creek, and then I've been at Wildcat Run, Quail Creek, which had 36 holes, and then Kelly Greens. So this is like my 6th or 7th golf.
But in Florida?
In Florida, this will be my 3rd golf course.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you network? I mean, like, okay, there's a vacancy coming up at Kelly Greens, and and they're looking for people to interview, and I don't know how many feelers are put out, but I mean, how for you personally did the networking work out?
Well, I don't know if you're going to edit this part out, but I actually applied for the job that Mark got.
Okay.
And so I went through that whole interview process, and as soon as Mark got got that job, I had people calling me saying that this job was open.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to know one of the guys that was doing the hiring. And really, in this job, it's all about who you know, because they're the person that's going to vouch for you.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing the right people is important, because they're the ones that get the information that there is a job open,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can get your name in, and then they can put in a good word for you, but ultimately it's on you and
Mm-hmm.
your interview
Mm-hmm.
experience to get the job done.
But the way you explained that makes so much sense, because at another golf course they were actively seeking a superintendent. Many people applied. They had probably narrowed it down to 3, and then somebody got it.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say you were one of those. You know, any of the top contenders at the other course would be great.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah.
And maybe I just wasn't the right fit for that GM,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to tell you, I'm really glad to be here. Extremely happy to be here. And
What are some of your first impressions? I mean, when you say that, yeah, I can see that you really are happy to be here.
I am. First impressions is everybody seems very friendly. You don't get that at every club. And just the golf course is in good shape. The people are friendly. My coworkers are very friendly. The shop is clean. The equipment is clean. I didn't walk into a dumpster fire. I came into something that is already working very smoothly, and I don't plan on throwing a wrench in the gearbox there. I'm just going to try and keep things moving smoothly. And, through time, I'll tweak it here and there and make it my own.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to change the direction the ball is rolling. It's rolling downhill, and I'm going to keep it rolling.
Yeah.
So, everything about the place is top notch, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm planning on keeping it there and maybe taking us up a little bit.
Good.
So,
Well, it's sure nice to meet you,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's nice to meet you too.
and welcome to Kelly Greens.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.